Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Podcast. Don't know why I popped in. It is what it is. I'm your host, GP, back from my weekend away. It was very good. In case anyone wanted to know how it was, just follow me on social media. Anyway, today's guest is the host of the Broken But Glorious podcast and an interview for BBG Wrestling. Please welcome my mate, Chris Lappin. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Yeah, very good.
Good to hear, mate. Good to hear.
It's weird being on this side.
I know. I was going to say the roles have been reversed. You interviewed me, I think it was late last year, and I enjoyed that. What was that? It
was 9 months ago. Come to my Skype. It was like 9 months ago last time I spoke to you. So.
Bloody hell, time flies, man. It's like August already now, man. And it's so hot at the moment. But I shouldn't moan because it's going to get cold, and then all we're going to do is moan about that and say, "Oh, I wish it was, hot now." So
I'm so hot.
But thank you for coming on, Chris. I've actually had been on a show before with another guest, Lance. We won't talk about him too much. Nah, I'm making Lance is cool. I like him. I won't use his real name, shoot name, but yes. I know you've got a really good relationship with Lance. We will get onto that and your podcast as well. But just to let the listeners know, I want to find out first, where is it that you grew up?
I live on the Wirral. Here's Wales, here's Liverpool, there's a bit at sticks out.
It's a good way of putting it, mate. That's a good way of putting it.
Late 80s, early 90s child, so all my nostalgia's around that era.
So you grew up in the golden generation of wrestling then, so like Hulk Hogan, Savage and Warrior, those sort of days?
When I got into wrestling, it was more just about to get into New Gen. So it was I think we got Sky late 91, so I've got memory of Survivor Series 91. So, but my first proper memories of wrestling is I was allowed to stay up and watch WrestleMania 8. So,
nice.
So late Hulkster era going into New Gen is like my.
That's not a bad show, to be fair. I mean, the main event was shit, but you had Brett and Piper. Main event was fucking awful, but we won't talk about that. Brett and Piper, Savage and Flair.
Yeah,
brilliant match.
Macho Man, Flair, great. Yeah.
Great build up as well. So who were some of your favourites growing up during that period of the new generation and then sort of when you got older?
My favourite growing up was Macho Man. I think just how charismatic, how fun he was. And in a land of giants, I know they booked him as 6'2", but he was like 5'10", 5'11", probably.
Yeah.
He
That's kind of how he carried himself, isn't it?
Yeah. In a world of giants, he could still get through sheer will of his character, get into that main event, and I loved him. Yeah, and as it went on, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. I like the smaller, more techie guys when I was younger. I think if you had a decent character, so I did like. It's like, even though I was not meant to like him, I like Jake the Snake, even though he was a heel. My mum's says I like the Bushwhackers, but I don't remember. I think I had a Bushwhackers t-shirt, which she probably bought me. But I like this. I more like the Steiner Brothers, and LOD, and stuff like that.
And the Bushwhackers. Come on, just be honest, man. Just be honest. Did you do the walk?
They were a bit poor looking back at them now, so they couldn't be now. They just go around licking kids' faces and stuff. And
mate, that wouldn't go down well, mate. In this day and age, you'd be registered. That's your podcast career, yet alone your actual life done. I highly advise, by the way, no one please don't actually do what the Bushwhackers did or Nasty Boys or any of those things. It's not okay to lick children's head that you don't know.
I've loved it. Yeah, during lockdown we went back and started watching Raw from the beginning, and I think we got up to about.
It's a bit hard, isn't it? It's a bit
summer of '95. It got a bit hard, but But the first couple, they're only 45 minutes each. So they're dead easy to watch. So it's like,
some of it I'm just like, it's the gimmicks, and it's just the backstage interviews and the promotion for the next show. Even though you really know the results, some of it I was just like, I need to get through this. I've got to do it. But I stopped at 96. Yeah. I will resume when I get really bored.
we tried. Yeah, we sort of said we got to 95, and it's just when it's all King Mabel in the main event. Just like, oh, this is so bad.
No, done. I will not moan about 2022 wrestling anymore.
Yeah, just fast forward to 97 because 97 is probably my favorite year. So
It was brilliant, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to move on to the podcast. How I know you from. You reached out to me and I listened to your podcast as well. As I've mentioned in the tweet, you are one of the best in the game. You obviously how you conduct yourself, very friendly easy approach. I know, like your ego's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I want to know, how did you come up with the name to begin with?
Broken but Glorious.
Yeah, man.
I was coming up with, I had something like Glorious Soundwave in my head for a while, but then it was 2017, so the biggest things at that moment were Broken Matt Hardy, Glorious Bobby Roode. So,
okay.
Everyone.
I like Matt Hardy. I like Bobby Roode at the time. That's it.
That was like, yeah. We had the because me and Nick were from the V2 football podcast, so we didn't want to go down. We already had a V2 wrestling podcast in the past, so we couldn't do that again, really. And yeah, so I don't know. I had Glorious Soundwave in my head for ages, and I thought, it can't be good. Maybe I'll know what that means. So, but we thought real wrestlers will know what Broken but Glorious.
They're all fans. I had a feeling, like an inkling, but I wanted to ask if there was a complete different meaning. Because when I explain mine, people are like, I still don't get it. It's like, unless you listen to the song, it's no fucking point explaining it. It's just different. So either like it or fuck off. You know, I actually hope they don't be fuck off. Subscribe, by the way. But no, that's. I didn't know you had a football podcast, by the way. You've just mentioned it. You had a football podcast. Okay, I've got to ask, because obviously anytime I get to talk about football, smile, you know. Who you support?
United, which is not Grazer.
Oh, for fuck's sake, worse than James. Like, oh god, no one's worse than him. We won't say James. Could be Lance, could not be. Who knows? Okay, so who's your favourite player of all time? Then
as much into football as I was.
Yeah,
Eric Cantona.
Oh, okay, I'll let you off.
Yeah, and I got a thing with Teddy Sheringham. Even when he played for Tottenham, I just loved him playing for England. So I always had a. When I was a teenager, I loved Teddy Sheringham, but Eric Cantona was my favourite all the time.
Good answer. Okay, I'll give you a bit of a pass because Cantona was fucking quality back. I saw some cunt, sorry I have to say that, right? But on Twitter said he was overrated. Like, I'll take you in the tweet if I can find it. I was just like, oh, come off it. You must be 12 or something, mate.
That 95, 96 season, he won the league single-handedly for us. Every match just seems to be 1-0. Cantona scores in the 92nd minute.
If you look at the goals that he scored, if you look like when he did arrive at Man United, that's when you started like dominating and winning the league. I'm not saying it was solely him, but he contributed to it 100%.
Oh yeah, you could tell when he got them suspended for that year. We missed him.
Blackburn in the fucking league. Imagine doing that now. Be fucked.
I have no idea how we're going to do next season. So I'm
it's going to be interesting. I do like Ten Hag, and I saw him when Ajax were sort of in their prime when it got to the semi-final Champions League. And I was just like, there's some fantastic football, just a passing that you have missed. You've missed that sorely. Arsenal, not Arsenal, Man United.
It could be one of the reasons why I'm not really that much into football because I don't like watching United play because we play so poor.
Especially last season, it was torture. It was torture, and you had some good players as well, but just the football was dreadful.
So the two guys he brought in from Holland look all right. We can get a bit hit and miss of people from the Dutch league.
Yeah,
that'd be brilliant. Although we could be good in the Dutch league.
I think Van der Beek is going to finally get a chance to shine. Oh, Ericsson, brilliant player. At least you know he's done it in the Premier.
I'll say he did great at Brentford last season, so I'm excited.
He did help them.
So many central midfielders have gone, and he hasn't brought anybody in yet. I'm like, just bring some a proper centre midfielder in.
Yeah, I see De Jong's linked to Chelsea at the moment. After spending the whole fucking summer chasing him, he's just like, nah.
That's good for Chelsea.
Oh, mate.
Chelsea having a good season next season, I think, especially with sailing up
Chelsea?
front.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what. I don't think pre-season you can't judge them. We've been like unstoppable pre-season, but when it comes to like Friday when we play Palace, it can all go wrong. So part of me is like, yeah, come on, Gabriel Jesus, he's gonna smash it, 30 goals in the league. Like then it's just like,
I'm thinking if you have Jesus, he might just be the thing you've needed. You've needed a goal scorer for the last couple of seasons, proper. Yeah, and you think
I thought we had that with Aubameyang, but then like after we won the FA Cup, he was just not on it.
No,
which is a shame. But I had to get the football talking, so anytime I have to get it, even if it's just a couple of minutes. So
that's all right.
We will
go back
to the wrestling because I had someone comment once. It's like I've had to fast forward once. Like, I still listen to it, but when you talk about football, it's like, oh, thanks, mate.
I know your interview with Lance. You spoke about football the whole time.
We literally spoke about wrestling for about 10 minutes, I think. But, just never talk about it.
I did enjoy doing the football podcast, and I interviewed some great people. And
mate, you might have to hook me up, mate. You might have to hook me up some football content.
There's some decent Arsenal players. There was Perry Graves.
Really?
David Hillier.
Mate, send me that after this interview. Once I've uploaded it, and I'll reach out to you like privately. Send me that interview if you still got it. I like him. That's quality, man. I'm quite jealous.
In Sealy, it was one of my first solo interviews, and I don't think it's very good, but it got me in. We had to do it like stupid o'clock in the morning because he lived in Qatar or somewhere in the Middle East.
Where the World Cup's going to be. Yeah, no one says football like Qatar.
I interviewed Paul Park. I interviewed at like 6 o'clock in the morning because he lived in Singapore, I think. So it was like 8 o'clock in the evening there, and so I had to interview like 6 o'clock. That's the only time we could both get on. And I just fell out of love with football around 2018. So I kind of just
jumped onto
past the hosting over to a lad called Anthony, and it lasted for a couple more years, but then it's kind of petered out now. So.
That's quality, man. Like, obviously, you learned something new, but I genuinely didn't know that. So I think I had a feeling that you might like football, but I wasn't 100% sure. Obviously, I know Lance likes it, but that's cool, man. I'm gonna have to check out a few episodes. What I was gonna say is when you did start the football podcast, what actually motivated you to start the wrestling podcast?
Oh, we'll start the wrestling. Well, Nick was going to join a rival podcast called 5 Nerds Go, I think, because he wanted to talk about wrestling, and I was like, I want to talk about wrestling. So we started as a discussion with my girlfriend. She's like, you can't start another podcast because I was doing a football coaching podcast. I was doing the V2 football podcast. I was doing the interviews. So we agreed that I could just review the pay-per-views. I could review the pay-per-views, which were about every 3 weeks back then. 2017 was when the brand split was the brand split. They had separate pay-per-views. So every 2 or 3 weeks I could do a wrestling podcast. So then me and Nick went, we'll do it. And then a couple of weeks later, was it Backlash 17? There was the one after when Jinder Mahal won the title. so our first run as Jinder Mahal as champion.
Is that Money in the Bank, maybe? When he
I think so,
against Randy Orton. Yeah. God, I'm in there. That's God.
Yeah, it's just the first couple are all Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton, and then Jinder Mahal versus.
And you actually stuck with it. You had to review Jinder Mahal pay-per-views. I applaud you, Chris.
For the first 4 or 5 months, it was just because we were under the V2 Sports Network banner still, and and that helped with the listeners as well. We kind of had an inbuilt listenership from the Sports Network, so because it started off as the football podcast, and then we started the Football League podcast, then we started an F1 podcast and a Boxer podcast. The wrestling, even though we're all wrestling fans, was kind of the last podcast we put into it. So
I would have assumed just because of how passionate you are about the wrestling, I would have assumed the wrestling would have been first. But no, that's pretty cool.
I was also like kind of the Impact press things we do now.
Yeah.
When the V2 wrestling podcast couldn't find someone to do them, I did them for them. So that's how I kind of got into the V2 podcasting with them. So I interviewed but back then you could have 3 questions, not like now 1.
Yeah,
get
and
on
that's
after.
it.
So you do like a mini interview. You could have 3 questions. So I did like a mini interview with Abyss and Bully Ray and a couple of others. I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I think I've kind of like I'm not bad because I do love the opportunity, but I've kind of interviewed like Josh Matthews now. I've always get him like I've had him like 4 times. He's always nice. I'm not saying bad things, but you know, it's sometimes good to mix it up a little bit. But who was the first person you've ever interviewed, and how did you feel going into the interview? Wrestling related, obviously. I know about the
wrestling related. What what that with BBG, it was Dave Mercy from Chaos Wrestling. He used to own it, and I don't even know how the interview came about. He probably just started following us on Twitter, and I just asked him. But yeah, because I've been interviewing footballers for so long, and they're so media trained to death. Interviewing a wrestler was just like, oh, this is so refreshing. I can pretty much ask whatever I want, and they 9 times out of 10 just answer it. And he was like, okay. And it was so fun. Yeah, that's one of the ones I kept going back and listening to. So proud of that, and they got like 600 listens. I was like, wow.
For the first one, that's pretty good. To be fair,
That was the first.
I was like, horrible.
That wasn't that. Yeah. I said I'd had like 5 years of interview experience-ish by the time we got to the wrestler one, but I didn't want to go straight into interviewing the wrestlers. We wanted to get like a bit of a following first. So when we started getting about 400 or 500 listens to the main podcast, we thought, oh, let's try and do interviews now as well. Yeah, and Dave was brilliant. Yeah, we had him back on a couple of times. He's so fun. But I didn't know much about British wrestling back then, so he was saying all these names. I was like,
oh, him, yeah.
I was very good at blagging back then. But yeah, they're all like household names now. So it wasn't until later that year I started getting into British wrestling. But yeah, it was so fun.
I've been a bit like that with some people I've interviewed. Not to say like, I don't know who they are, but when they've mentioned people, I'm like, right, yeah, it rings a bell. But then I will actually Google them after. That's the thing. That's me, like, because I want to be prepared next time in case someone mentions them. Yeah, he mentioned them. Since then, I just want to be on my toes a little bit. So, I know it's not going to be fair because I know you've done hundreds of interviews. I'm not going to say who's been your favourite. That's not fair. And I know Lance might listen to this and be like, I'm waiting. But what have been some of your highlights? You'd mentioned about doing wrestling, interviewing people from Impact, that sort of thing. When you realize you got this many subscribers, what have been some of the highlights of your podcast journey so far for BBG Wrestling and Brit Wrest? It's a bit of a hard question because I think
I think Congo Kong was our first interview. It went past 1,000 listens. That was nice feeling.
Could not find a contact for Congo Kong. Really want him in because I spoke to someone that wrestled him. And, I just really like his work.
Yeah, he was really nice as well, but he struggled with my accent because he's from the Southern America. So he struggles with my accent. So it was like we spoke like 40 minutes, but when I've edited it, I think it's 18 minutes long. I kept having to repeat questions and stuff. So, but it's there's brilliance of editing. It sounds great. But,
that's quality.
Getting in with. I kind of had a bit of a plan. I thought I would pick a promotion. Well, I went with my local promotion, Wrestle Island. I'll just interview loads of them and try and get listeners, and then I'll go off and find another promotion and just interview loads of them. So I did that. And it's kind of built up. And, so Wrestle, I still try and interview like most Wrestle Island people, but I'm interviewing mostly Northwest England people at the moment, and I love it. Because I do love to interview people have to see live. So I actually have it.
Joe's really funny by that. You interviewing those people from Wrestle Island and the Northeast in general. I'll do my research. Who's interviewed him first? You. That's a compliment. It's a compliment, and then it's helps me prepare as well. And I'm just like, fuck's sake, I'm not going to top this, like, because your interview style was so good. I
mean, interview style. Sorry. Well, that was kind of the idea for turning it into my Brit Rest journey was to try and get people at the beginning of the journey, and then the plan is to maybe 2 or 3 years get them back on, and we see where the journey continues. And so I love being people's first interview because they say it's such an easy interview, but that's the idea, that they'll get into it, get their name out there. And some people have messaged me saying thank you, I got a booking off that interview, or it's like the best feeling. When people say, especially other wrestlers say, I listened to your interview, it was brilliant, can I come on? I was like,
I love that when they reach out to you, just like, of course you can. There's always room for you.
I can't remember the last time I probably asked somebody to be on. It's usually through somebody else will hear it, and then they'll retweet it, and I'm like, ooh. Like I do what I used to do with my footballers. If they retweet it, I'll ask them, "Oh, you retweet my interview with?"
I do
such
that.
Such.
I'm just like, "Oh, they've liked it," and then retweet it. I'm just like, "Okay, they might actually like this," or they've commented on something. I'm like, did you like what I did? Do you want to create some magic on the mic?
On the football podcast, I think for about 3 months we just had, was it Hull players? No, it's Burnley players for like 3 months in a row.
Just when they win the Prem or win the Championship.
They'll us with the high in the Championship, but
that's still pretty good because I know sometimes it might be restricted.
Yeah, but it wasn't like there was only 1 or 2 the first team, but it was just players associated with Burnley. So we just got lots of Burnley fans listening to the podcast off just these 3 months. It was that good. We went through a phase of just Hull players, and
that's pretty cool.
So that's why. So that was kind of my plan when I started interviewing. I was like, just focus on one area maybe, or one promotion for a bit, and then.
One thing I like as well, what we've done is not just upload it on YouTube or, like Spotify. You've done SoundCloud as well, which I've noticed you've got really strong numbers for. If you had to give some advice for someone that wanted to get into podcasting, that's sort of very interested in doing it, starting their own podcast, doesn't necessarily be about wrestling, but just want to get into it. As someone that's done different things, wrestling and football, what would you advise to them if they want to get in?
Consistency, I think if you get a fan base, you need to say every Wednesday, every Friday, you will get a show. It's nothing worse than getting into a podcast and then you start going, oh, we'll have 1 show this month, and then there'll be a couple of months for the next one, and then they'll do 3 in a row, and you're like, oh, because I think, especially about how I listen to podcasts, like the Hardest Part of the Ring podcast, they release one every Wednesday, so I listen to it every Wednesday morning. Well, now it's every 2 weeks. So, but that time, and like the Atheist Experience, they record that on a Sunday, they release that on Monday. So every Monday morning, that's my 2 hours. So I think people do schedule podcasts around their life. So you have to kind of be consistent. So BBG is every Wednesday morning, there'll be an episode. And Brit Rep Journey every Friday, there'll be an episode. There might be some bonus episodes in between, but you would definitely get Wednesday and Friday. And don't be shy to ask people to come on and ask people to help. And because the podcast community, 99% of us are
most of them are really
nice.
Like John's Network, I have to give him a shout out. Someone that's just that will help anyone.
Yeah,
like anyone and any person, doesn't want money in anything. I like all those involved. They are really good guys. Really like them. I mean, you do get a couple of clicks in this podcasting game. I'm not going to name a shame. We're not here to bitch and moan about other people and gossip, but I'm just making a point. But I'll highlight those that are positive. And you yourself, you've helped me as well, and you've actually given me advice and praise, and I really like that, and that's why I enjoyed. And I think when you invited me to come on, if I am free, I will come on. So and mostly to that's great when you're well. Just to rip lads. You're just in the background, just me and lads going out. It's like, yep,
and eventually you will find a niche and people will come to you. And I don't in the early days maybe not look at the numbers, and just try and put good stuff out. And I would say try and get 3 episodes ready when you start. Don't put 1 out because people might go,
and then
I
just
want to listen to that again.
Hope for the best. Yeah.
Have 3 ready, so if they want to, so they could binge like 3 episodes of you. Because there's nothing worse than listen to a podcast and then you're like, oh, I want more. So that's why I'm terrible with YouTubers, because I'll find a new YouTuber, I'll binge them, and then I have to wait like a week for the next show.
Man,
Like,
I agree. I get so fucked off. Like, I'm really impatient as well. I think I really like what you said, because even though I'm in the podcast game as well, and I've been doing it about a year and a half, I'm so bad with my timekeeping. I won't change, man. It's just who I am. I don't have a schedule, so I do try to aim for Thursdays and Wednesdays. But it'll be like Sunday night. Oh, yeah, it's just got podcasts out. Like someone that I know, like pointed out, it's like, but he said, like, I love it so it's when you least expect it. But I 100% agree with you, because it is the smarter way. It's just who I am. It's just my time schedule and all that. It's just all over the place. So, but do what Chris said, not me.
Yeah, back in the day, it was Wednesday. When Wednesday was BBG, but interviews were just, because I was so like, they have to be out the day I do it because they've come on. But now I'm like, what do you want to promote? And I'll try and fit it in with what they want to promote and stuff. And I try. Release 1 a week. I think that's the fairest on the people who want to give up their time to come on and promote stuff.
And don't get disheartened if people don't want to come on. It's just how it is.
Oh, yeah.
That used to really get me down when I first started it, especially like, and then I see him on someone else's podcast. I just really got me down a bit. But now I'm like, it is what it is. On to the next one. And this person that I've just may have not known or whatever might turn out to be the best interview ever. And that does happen sometimes.
Oh yeah. So it really annoys me if with a greater time and I've done loads of research, I've got all the, and then I'll contact them the couple of days before, and then they just don't reply, and you're like,
I've had that. Oh, they won't be named shame either. I'll tell you after. But yeah, one might be on the TV at the moment. But yeah, so I completely that does fuck me off massively, and it is what it is. But
so that's kind of how I've got into there's kind of a not set questions, but it's kind of got a format now. So if somebody calls out, I can get somebody in quick, and I have to do. So I don't. Some people I just don't over research. I like to be surprised by their answers. So
it's sometimes when you overdo it,
is genuine reactions.
I like the layout of your shows as well, like the editing and how you sort of have it in between.
Okay. Well, it is basically what you for the Brit Rest journey. It's kind of what you've been up to recently. Then how did you get into wrestling from a fan up to your first match, and then it's what they want to promote, and then it's like the dream match award, and it's always we always finish with they make a card out the people you've worked with, just to gives an opportunity to shout out their mates.
I really like when you do that. That's
show off who they've worked with.
I think the last one I listened to was might have been Riley.
Yes.
I think it was Riley. That was
cool.
that was really cool. That was but no, that's I like to hear that. I'm just gonna ask, not necessarily the infamous last question, but I'm gonna ask one. I just want to ask, how is your wrestling training going on? Because I've seen you on your social media about it. So I just want to hear quickly as we do kind of wrap up the interview, and I'll ask the infamous last question because I'm excited. But how is your wrestling training going on at the moment?
I love it. Initially, I only went to support my son, who just turned 17, so like and the local school's opened. But I think I'm more into so I already have boots and I have the knee pads.
Yeah,
I have a singlet. I don't know if I can get it down. But,
if you want to put it on, man, I think the
face paint.
What kind of face paint? It's going to be the Burnley flag on your face.
I'm thinking, it's kind of. I've got like red and white, and I'm thinking black, and there's going to be a black thing here and 2 blacks here. I've got some names. I'm thinking maybe Eminon, which is no name backwards, or Scabbage. I've got maybe Uno Filth. I've got. Well, someone wants me to call VDT because that's my name on the wrestling game. But I'm like, and he's like, but you can go VDT. I was like, but yeah, I've got thinking of a backstory for me, and Like, oh, yeah, I'm getting too far into it.
I'm gonna have to I might have to watch your match and just film my reaction to it. Like it's your first match.
Yeah. Which I was hoping is going to be soon, but I don't think it will be. I've not been able to go for the last 2 weeks due to work and stuff. So but we're going back this weekend, and we're excited. Yeah.
Awesome, that's quality, man. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. It does seem like you're positive about it, and just the fact that you kind of basically went there for your son's support, and now you've ended up taking over, and
I couldn't have done it this time last year. I was so out of shape. It was only earlier this year. I had a bit of a mental issues. I signed off work for a couple of months. And I started getting into the gym, and I've lost 2 stone. And just the level of fitness you need for wrestling is so different to anything else. I was going to speak to wrestlers the other day. I wouldn't be able to jog 15 minutes. I could do a 15-minute match because it's not the same as just getting cardio. And forward rolls, that's fun. When you're 40 and you haven't done a forward roll since you're 10, do a forward roll. Do a back roll? I was like, I don't even know I can.
Right.
But I can
DDP
do them
can do it. You can do it. But I'm happy to hear it, man. It sounds like you're enjoying it. That's fucking awesome, man. I'm gonna ask. I'm just gonna ask the last question because I know you're prepared for this one, and I know you love this one. Yes. I think there's been a bit of a delay, by the way. In case anyone thinks we're like cutting each other off, I think there is a genuine delay at the moment for this one. It might be my shitty Essex.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think there is. Sorry, man. Famous last question, and the listeners will know what I'm going to ask. If you're already familiar with the podcast, let me try that again. 3, not even a fucking word. I think it might be actually. But anyway, 3 dream dinner guests that you can pick for your dream party. Dead, alive, historical, past, present. Doesn't matter. Relevant, irrelevant. Anyone. You get to pick. Christopher, who are you going to pick?
Yes.
And why?
First one, I'm going to go for Han Solo. He's my favorite Star Wars character. I don't know if we can. Can we just pick characters?
Well, you can pick whoever you want. Fictional, man. Anything.
Do
we got Han Solo?
Just watching. Watching the Han Solo movie, you think, oh, his life is so cool.
I liked it, by the way.
I liked it. It did look. It seemed like they just went through the Han Solo Wikipedia and went, "Oh, we have to put this in. We have to put this in."
By the numbers a little bit,
he's so cool. And, and he shot first.
Don't worry, I'm not that. I know there's diehards. I'll be like, oh, he didn't shoot first. He shot first.
He shot first.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes. Oh, who do I go for next? It was a toss-up between, I was thinking Chester Bennington from Linkin Park or...
Good answer. We're not far from the anniversary either.
I might go with him, yeah. It was between him and Chris Cornell. I love them both, but I just love Linkin Park. They were my favourite. They were kind of they got me through my early 20s, I think.
Hey, man, I'm a teenager. So as a teenager, I was just like,
yeah. I don't know if all these people get on with each other very well.
I don't think outside would like Chester Bennington.
No.
And vice versa.
Then I think I'd have to go with Macho Man. Just a chance to meet him.
Linkin Park, yeah.
He must have so many stories. And, he's my favorite.
I like it.
I just to sit and let them talk to me. Just like,
Christopher Lappin, PPG wrestling. I'll shut up now. But okay, so we got. So I could do it all night. Right, so we got Macho Man, Han Solo, Chester Bennington, Linkin Park singer. I'm
Linkin Park.
Mate, the last 10 minutes. I mean, like, start my words. It's hot, man. I'm sweating. But
no, I'm hot as well.
It's hot as fuck, man.
Before we started recording, there was a dog outside barking. I was like, "Shut up! I couldn't want to close the windows."
There's builders next door, and they're still going on, and it's 8:00 on a Wednesday night. If they don't stop at 9, I'm going to say something, but that's irrelevant. As we have concluded this podcast, Chris, thank you for coming on. It's much appreciated. I know you are a genuine busy man with your own podcast and your own life. If you got anything you'd like to plug or promote, as we are finishing this episode. Go.
Yes, this week I have an interview with Reach Wrestling Academy's Reed coming out on Friday. Next week we've got one with Britannia Wrestling's Ben Evans, and then we've got you look forward to this one. But Alton Thorne, he could message me going, I'll tell, because I always say I don't like deathmatch wrestling, or I don't want to be in a deathmatch. He's coming on to tell me why deathmatch wrestling is so good. Because I always say I don't understand why people do deathmatch wrestling.
I think it has been mentioned in the previous interview. I'm not a big fan of it personally, but each their
So
own.
he's coming on to tell me why I should like deathmatch wrestling.
Are you going to debate him then?
Yeah, we'll discuss it. So I'm really looking for that in a couple of weeks. I don't know what we're doing on BBG the next couple of weeks. I think we've got Lance. He's got his world title shot, Wrestle Island title shot on the 21st. So we're going to do.
I'll get it,
We're going to do a Wrestle Island preview on the 16th.
Nice.
Yes. So hopefully, maybe get another guest on. Social media wise, it's BBG Wrestling. I am at BBG Chris Lappin on Twitter. My Instagram is my Brit Rest Journey or just Brit Rest Journey. I'm not sure which one it is.
I'll find out. Don't worry. I'll put it in the description, man. I'm so used to asking social medias now, but I'm still always asking. But I just put it in the description below now.
On Facebook, it's BBG Wrestling, my Brit Rest Journey. Yeah, and hopefully there'll be a wrestling page for me soon.
I hope to see by the end of the summer having one match, mate. Having one match, or at least a battle.
Wrestle Island Prospect Wars starts. Wrestle Island Prospect Wars starts in October. So
got your fingers crossed.
I'm saying I should be the oldest. I should be the oldest prospect.
People like an underdog, man. I like it though.
Well, so you could either do two ways. You could have the good guy going, "Oh, thank you for this chance to wrestle in front of my family at my age."
Please
or you can do the bad guy going, yeah. Or you can be, why have you put me in with all these kids? I'm 40 years old.
I don't know. You don't want to shout that out there. You don't want to shout that out. Why you put me all these kids? I'm 40 years old, mate. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. But Chris, thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me on.
That's down. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you. For everyone that's listened to this episode, there's going to be more episodes of What Do You Call It podcast coming out this month. I will have more names to announce on Twitter, as you can see in the description below, where you can follow me also. But for now, everyone, subscribe, like, share, do everything you can for this content. Be much appreciated. I'll stop stuttering when it stops being so hot. I'm sweating so badly. But for now, everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi, my name's Nutty T, James Briley, and I'm on the What Do You Call It podcast. It's nice!
Yeah, I heard.